welcome back, Bar Down Nation. You've got Tommy V, you've got Justo, you've got Mikey. So you've got the whole crew here. Very, very special episode. We have our homie Ben from Armour for Sleep with us. Ben, what's going on, man? How are you?
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me.
Dude, we're super stoked to have you. We as we've discussed, lifelong Armour fans, all of us, definitely have a lot of questions to rack your brain about. And I'm going to start with the first one because, you told us off interview that you're an open book. So I think the world really wants to know why you hate Williamsburg so much. I really think we need to know that.
It's a valid question. I get asked that a lot. So that song was written, I think, in like 2008 or something. And, we're all from New Jersey, obviously adjacent to New York City. So Williamsburg, Brooklyn was obviously known to all of us. But I think we were unaware at the time that like the rest of the country did not know Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Like after that song came out, people were more aware of Williamsburg, Virginia, and were like, what do you have against historical
Busch
Williamsburg?
Gardens, man.
Yeah. So I had to do a lot of explaining back then about like, okay. So the funny thing is, so around that time, 2008, there was this whole like hipster movement going on. Like bands like The Killers and The Strokes were getting mainstream attention. And like, we were from the scene. And, I guess what now is referred to as emo, even though I think that's kind of like the wrong word for it. Our scene was also like flourishing, but like maybe didn't get that like mainstream attention that like the hipster scene got. So like there was a little like stupid rivalry, I think, for like bands from our scene against bands like The Killers, like these like dance bands that were getting big. So honestly, it was just a really stupid song. And I think the label liked it because it was so different than anything else. But like the funny thing about that song is that like we actually were hanging out in Brooklyn all the time, and like we had a lot of friends that would like go to hipster bars, and like we would go to hipster bars and like have fun with them. So it was almost like we were just like kind of like softly making fun of our friends and making fun of ourselves. But then like people thought we were like really serious about it, and like we're like fuck hipsters and like fuck that kind of music, and we're like actually like we like that stuff too. And like I used to hang out in Williamsburg all the time, so
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you hung out in Williamsburg enough, like you like the sentiments echoed in that song are kind of ring to be a little true, I would think. You definitely did your homework. Now, I'm sure being from the Northeast, that
colonial Williamsburg.
What's up?
I feel like they should.
You should.
But like, we hate historic Williamsburg.
We hate the Civil War.
No, it's the American.
The Revolutionary times sucked.
Oh, it's Revolutionary. Okay, so it was Revolutionary War. George Washington sucks.
Yeah,
that guy can't even cut down an apple tree. No, so I'm sure being from the Northeast, you've heard that. The very, very infamous Music Hall of Williamsburg is officially shutting down. They lost their lease, and I think at the end of 2026, it's the end.
Oh, that's right. I did hear about that. Yeah.
I think I've seen you guys play at the Music Hall of Williamsburg. So like I'm sure you've got a lot of memories of playing there. Like you must.
Did we play the Music Hall of Williamsburg? I don't know if we did, to be honest. I know we played most recently in Warsaw, which was awesome. We had an amazing time
that's
there.
a cool spot. Yeah, that's a cool spot.
I don't remember playing at the Music Hall in Williamsburg. We used to play at where the Knitting Factory. The Knitting Factory used to be in Williamsburg, right?
Yeah,
on North 6, I believe.
And it just
that was my favorite venue for a long time. And then when that, I think did that close down? And then all that was left, there was a Knitting Factory. Where was it?
In New York
the
city.
But and that was a cool venue too. But it wasn't the same. It didn't have the same magic.
Right. And did you guys ever get onto Long Island? I'm sure you guys played Long Island, right?
Yeah. Yep. We played the Sahara back in the day, and then our favorite venue there was the Downtown. Yeah, that was a special venue.
Yeah, the Downtown was a special place. It was a really special place.
These guys talk about the Downtown every single episode. So
it was special.
It's true. It was a cool spot, man. It was a really cool spot.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
I heard there was some controversy in how it shut down or something. I've heard rumors.
Yeah,
about
it was the owner just like kind of pulled the rug out from under everyone, and it was just like sold to a restaurant. The restaurant made him an offer that was yeah, good enough that he was just like, screw all this stuff. I'm gonna wipe my hands clean and take my money and go, do Long Island shit, which is just like maybe you like have a sailboat and like maybe you just like just do some sailing and maybe you do some fishing. I don't know, whatever it is that old Long Islanders do.
Yeah.
Long Island was definitely a really cool scene. We were very fortunate, Mikey and I, to kind of to have grown up in it when it was in its real genesis, 2001 through 2005, when this kind of music, whatever you want to call it, emo, pop punk, whoever, just alternative, aggressive, different music than what was in the mainstream. It started kind of trickling into the mainstream, with your Fall Out Boys and your Paramores and all that kind of stuff. So, um, you know, to kind of bring it back a little bit, did you realize how special it was when you were in it? Or were you guys just grinding so hard that like you didn't really get to step back and see the entire picture?
Of like the scene in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, I think the first show I went to in New Jersey was like, oh man, maybe like late 90s somewhere. I think the first show I went to, I was like 12 years old. How and then yeah, around that time when like 99 was happening. So when I got into the scene, I was super into like West Coast skate punk, like NoFX, Fat Record stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got into like hardcore and punk rock, but like, when the 2000s were starting, that's when bands like Saves the Day were kind of taking the hardcore thing and making it more melodic, singing about like relationships and that changed everything for me and for my friends in the scene. Just when like kind of like kids were taking over that sound and singing about things going on in their own lives. And yeah, it was very special to me and to everyone else at the time. And doing a band really just came out of wanting to be a part of that scene that was like so special to us, and it really, it meant everything to us. It changed, just speaking for myself, it changed my life. And I did realize how special it was at the time, and I think the more time passed, like in retrospect, I can really look back and be like, yeah, that was, a once in a lifetime kind of musical thing that was happening that I got to be a part of. And it's really cool. And maybe, some people, maybe we all kind of like took it for granted, maybe we're like, oh, this is going to be cool. And like, but like there will always be these like scenes of music that we'll all be a part of. But like that was really like a once in a lifetime thing, from
Right.
like 99 to like 2005, really was like the genesis of, then bands like Fall Out Boy and My Chem kind of like took the torch and like, exploded to obviously international success. But like they were all dipping their toes in that magic in the early 2000s, and that's where their entire careers came from.
Yeah. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. You couldn't have said it any better myself. That's
Yeah.
I think that's 100% true. Now I just want to pull it back a little bit. So you said you went to your first show in 99 and you were 12.
No, that's incorrect. I was born in
Okay.
83, so when I was 12, that must have been like 95. Yeah, so
Okay. All
95,
right. Okay.
96. Yeah.
Because I was about to say, I was like, if you were born in like that would have put you at 80, born in 87, like
Yeah.
Mikey and I, and I would have been like, wow, Dream to Make Believe came out when you guys were 16. Like that's wild,
Yeah.
But I mean, close enough. I mean, you guys were 18,
Not
19,
that much
right?
later. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I wrote Dream to Make Believe, I was 16, 17. When I recorded it, I was 18.
Okay.
It came out when I
Were
was
you in
19.
high school?
Yeah, when I was writing it, I was a senior in high school, and
Wow.
the summer after my senior year, I was actually playing drums in my band that I started in 6th grade through high school.
Wow.
Senior year of high school, I quit that band because I had been writing songs and I wanted to start Armour for Sleep and sing behind
Right.
those songs. So
Sure.
yeah, when I was 17, I did the demo for Armour for Sleep, and that's when it started. But yeah,
Wow.
those first few songs I wrote when I was 16, 17, which is crazy now because I would never listen to a song that a 16-year-old kid wrote. I'd be like, what have you been through in life? You haven't experienced anything.
It's so funny because like those songs are the songs that people are pining over the most because when Dream to Make Believe came out, a lot of people were in those listening in those formative years where it just like,
Yeah.
it sticks to you like glue. And like, it's
Yeah.
just like, it's like, I was at Riot Fest one year and Yellow Card was playing, right? And, super cool dudes, we've had them on the podcast before. And, like there were probably like a good 1,000 people watching them, big crowd, pretty big crowd. And they were, in the middle of their set playing songs from, some of their older albums. And like, people were kind of just sitting around, and then, the last 3 songs they played were, the 3 singles from Motion Avenue, and people just like exploded. It was just like an explosion of people. Like 500 people came rushing to the crowd. And then the rest of the crowd was just like in like hysterics. And I think it's because, that stuff resonates with your growing up so hard that it's just like, even if like you wanted to be like, oh, like this song is corny, I'm not going to sing it. Like you're going to sing it anyway. Like that's just kind of like that era from where this was from and what it meant to people, because it was such a great outlet for people who didn't feel like they could emote the right way, to be able to understand and be like, oh yeah, there's people that like are states and miles away from me that are like feeling the same way that I am. This is great.
Exactly. Yeah. And, that's how it is for a lot of us bands that were around at that time. The songs that resonated with people, it's not about what songs were the best. Like, I think we're all like, hey, people didn't listen to like track 10 on that record, like the songs that got big because they hit people at a very important time in their lives, and yeah, like you said, it's more than just like this song was good, that's why I like it. It's like this song brings people back to a different time in their lives, and a time in their lives when a lot of other people were also connecting with that song. So you want to sing that song because it brings you back to a point in your life, but you also want to sing the song because everyone who's, at Riot Fest or whatever show you're at also had that experience at 16 years old. And so it's this communal effect. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but like Dream to Make Believe is such a seasons album, right? Like it is 100% a winter album. And I don't know if it's just me personally that like relates to it in the wintertime, but I specifically remember walking around my college campus in the middle of the winter, listening to this album at night. And like, even 20 years later, whenever it starts getting cold, like I have to put this album on.
Yeah, that's funny. I think that's 1000% because, I was born and raised in Teaneck, New Jersey in the snow and in the cold. And, but, even now, however many years later, it's so interesting to me that people listen to that album, because for me, I was so affected by albums from like Saves the Day and Thursday and all of these bands. And I was just trying to like emulate all this stuff that I love. So, but the fact that like other young people listened to that album and that album was like important in a period of their lives still blows my mind, because, it's probably like imposter syndrome. It's like, I was just trying to do my best impression of, Thursday Meets Saves the Day. And like, it's just funny to me that, that hit people too. Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever talked about it before on another interview, but like the most historic barcode ever, like on the front of that album, and it literally probably just pissed the hell off of like every record store ever, because it's like, does it do anything?
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know if that's just a part of the artwork. Yeah, I don't. That's a good question. I've never considered that.
Touche.
Yeah, still a mystery, I guess.
Well, you should, like, when the vinyl releases come out again, like I'm sure when there's a new press, just like update it so it scans as kind of like a QR code and like takes it to like a show flyer or something, blow people's minds.
Like a B-side that you can only get like digitally or something.
I actually I wore a t-shirt a couple years ago that had it was a giant QR code on it, and I got on stage and everyone like held up their phone to scan it, and when you scan the QR code, it just brings you to a website that says "Go fuck yourself."
Yes.
So all these people had their phones up, like when I walk
Like,
out on stage, and then, like I
"Aw."
saw, yeah,
Like
it was the best and the worst thing ever.
they're like, and then
That's-
he's like, hey guys, we're Armour for Sleep. You're really excited to see us, right? They all turn around, just 180, turn their backs to him, just like the ultimate
That's
sign
like-
of disrespect.
I want to put that on my pedal board so bad. Cause like, anytime you're playing, you always have those guys that are kind of like looking up to see like what's on your pedal board. And I
yeah.
just want to put like scan here to see my pedals. It just says go outside, loser, like something like
Yeah.
that.
Or like set lists. Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
was just gonna say, like they're like people that like will hound you for a set list, won't they?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I use a Kemper when we play, which is like just massive pedal board. And I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out, but like most of the time when we go on tour, we're playing the same set night to night. And so I just put a piece of gaff tape on it and wrote the set list, so we don't have to print out set list.
Oh, there you go.
After we play, a lot of people are like, "Can I have a set list?" And I'm like, I literally don't have it. But then I was like, should I print fake set lists just to give out? Because it's really disappointing for someone who doesn't get a set list.
That's true.
So yeah, maybe I'll just put a QR code on it.
There you go. Or like just like start printing out inauthentic set lists that like have like
Yeah.
songs that you weren't gonna play, and then you just like cross them off. So then like when
Yeah.
someone gets that set list, they were like, oh, they were gonna play like Car Underwater and they didn't play Car Underwater. Oh no! Like just be like so bummed about it. And then like you're just kind of like
Scheming
Like,
in the
yeah.
background.
scheming in the corner, just like I got one over on you, kid.
It's not a bad idea.
No, I mean, look, it whatever works, right? So, Dream to Make Believe comes out in 2003, right? So you guys are still young. You at that point are signed to Equal Vision, right?
Kind of, but not really. We eventually did. We
Okay.
licensed that record to them.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, but yes, that's just a
Okay.
weird technicality.
So, when you were conceptualizing What to Do When You're Dead, being that it's a concept album, and concept albums, in our line of music, I guess, are a little bit few and far between. Like, did the label ever approach you about it or say anything like, hey, this is like a little kind of funky or weird, like how is this gonna work, how is this gonna work for singles, that kind of stuff? Did that ever come to pass, or was the label just fully like, yeah, go do your thing, be an artist?
Yeah, a lot of people have experiences with labels where they're like trying to put the kibosh on a cool idea or whatever. Equal Vision is the most, at least from my perspective, artist-friendly label ever, and they have been nothing but completely supportive of me and my wacky-ass ideas. So yeah, they were 100% supportive, and were like, we want you to be able to do this album and see it through with the producer, and make the artwork happen however you have the vision. I think they get really stoked when one of their artists has like a vision, because you wouldn't believe how many artists kind of have no vision for an album, and really, and sometimes amazing things come out when someone is unprepared in the studio. Bands, that's where a lot of magic happens. But for me, I've always kind of like had a concept way ahead of time, and Equal Vision was nothing but supportive of the idea. So, yeah, we had a great experience with that. And, honestly, after Dream to Make Believe, I was convinced no one was going to ever care about Armour for Sleep. We had a lot of people around us telling us at the time that they thought Dream to Make Believe was going to be the biggest album, to come out in the scene, and like hyping us up. And like, that didn't really happen. Like, Dream to Make Believe came out and it was cool, but we were watching our friends blow up overnight. I could list like a ton of different bands that like blew up in the scene and were suddenly playing to like 1,000 kids a night. And like, that didn't happen for Dream to Make Believe. And so I was kind of defeated, and I was like, whatever, may as well do this wacky ass concept album and try and be as creative as possible, because I felt like the pressure was off. Like, I just thought we were going
Right.
to be like an obscure scene band. Oddly enough, like when What to Do When You're Dead came out, that's when, we saw that kind of like jump happen with, you know, how many records we were selling and the turnout at our shows. So yeah, so it was fun.
I
And I
think
feel
you
like
guys were
that's
kind of
the
like
album that really
gate kept at first, right? Like especially at our high school, like the cool scene kids always loved Armour for Sleep. Like no matter if you were a hardcore pop punk kid, like you definitely saw a lot of Armour for Sleep stuff in my high school. And then like a lot of times people want to keep those bands, unfortunately, like close to them, right? And they don't want them to blow up, right? So that could have been why like that first album was kind of more of had a cult following, right? Like I think people were trying to keep that close to the chest and close to their hearts. But yeah, I eventually when you know what to do when you're dead comes out, there was no gatekeeping that, right? Like it just took on a life of its own.
Yeah, and the label kicked into high gear. They had this amazing guy at the company named Tom Mullen who actually does a podcast now called fuck. The name is escaping me right now, but he got the songs on What to Do When You're Dead, the videos on MTV2 and Fuse, and that's when MTV2 and Fuse were like hand in hand with the scene. And you know, so that kind of like leveled us up. And even to this day, you know, people who still come to our shows 20 years later are like, I saw you guys on Steven's Untitled Rock Show, or like MTV2 is how I found out about you. So I think, you know, yeah, we were kind of like buzzing in the scene for Dream to Make Believe, but What to Do When You're Dead, we kind of got like a little bit of mainstream success, you know, to a certain level.
I remember when I was a senior in high school, I had like my messenger bag, and I had all like these pins from all these different bands, and I had an Armour for Sleep pin that I had probably got at like Hot Topic or something back in the day. And I remember so many people, especially when like Truth About Heaven, the music video came out and was like all over MTV. So many people were just asking me like, "Oh, where did you get that? Where did you get that?" It felt like it was one of those situations where like the music that I was enjoying was finally starting to kind of like get popular and move into the mainstream a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, we talk about Fuse and Steven's Untitled Rock Show a lot, but it was amazing just like waking up, you know, in the morning and just putting on MTV as I was getting ready for school and just having like my own playlist basically of bands that were all over, you know, the early mornings within MTV. So, you know, after you know that kind of like that big push that was going out there, you know, what was the overall like intake from the crowds outside of like the people who were like, "Oh, like I saw you on MTV." Like how did it feel like with like the core group of fans that were watching it too? Were they just as stoked?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like a time where, yeah, the fans who we made for Dream to Make Believe were stoked to see us get to the next level, and then the new fans who had just heard of us from MTV were stoked to see us, and yeah, it was just really a cool time.
And if I'm not mistaken, weren't you guys on like your music on Room Raiders or Cribs or like one of those really popular MTV shows?
I think we did an episode of like my Super Sweet 16 or like something like that. I don't know if that aired. I remember we went to film it. We played like an MTV Beach House thing, but like this was a time when like MTV2 was really breaking off of MTV, so like we played the MTV Beach House, and normally that would have been huge and on MTV, but it was like, oh yeah, it's the MTV Beach House, but like on MTV2 and like at these weird times, and I was like, okay, whatever. So like I don't know what actually aired and what didn't air. But yeah, we were doing stuff. It always felt a little bit weird. But yeah.
Did you how did you get approached to have one of the tracks that you had on the Transformers soundtrack? How did that come about?
Yeah, so after What to Do When You're Dead, we actually didn't have a contract with Equal Vision. We were almost like free agents, and we were just doing like one-off contracts with them. So after What to Do When You're Dead, that was like our big album, sold like 250,000 albums, which was a really big deal for us.
Yeah.
So we signed to Warner Brothers.
Right.
Yeah, it was crazy. So we got signed to Warner Brothers. Even though Equal Vision wanted us to do the third album with them, we were like, our managers at the time were like, try a major label, just go for it.
Of course. Of
So we
course.
were on Warner, and our next album, Smile for Them, came out at around the same time that the movie Transformers, the original with Megan Fox and Shia LaBeouf, came out.
Mhm.
And just because it was a Warner movie, the soundtrack for it had all Warner bands, and we were just one of the new Warner bands. And one of the songs off our album was called End of the World. And so I think somebody must have petitioned to like get that song on the soundtrack. And I'm pretty sure it's like the second to last track on the movie soundtrack CD, and it wasn't in the movie, although like I really wished it had been. But yeah,
Right.
that's like a strange little piece of history that we have a song on the original Transformer soundtrack, which, by the way, that movie seems like it came out a fucking 100 years
Forever
ago.
ago.
I still can't believe that, there's crossover between us and the original Transformers movie. But there is.
It's a canon event, man. You just got that lore in the background.
Yeah.
Like Dashboard being on the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack.
Yes. Yeah, that's crazy.
When you were on Warped Tour, like you guys had played like the Nintendo DS stage at one point when Nintendo was doing like a huge push for Warped Tour at that stage. And I feel like everybody in my friends list, like we all had DSs at the time, and I think we were at Warped Tour with our DSs just chatting with each other on
Oh my
Nintendo
God,
chat.
that's funny.
But how was that experience kind of like, hitting the Warped Tour around like that time? Because I know it was a few years after, you did the peak like 2005, 2006 Warped Tour that everybody talks about. But how was like, that overall tour? Did you guys meet any cool friends when you were on that stage specifically?
Yeah, it was awesome. The first time we did Warped, I think it was 2005. We were sharing a bus with From First to Last. And that's obviously when Sonny was the singer. And I remember Sonny was like 15 or 16 years old. And just had a great time with them. And I was like, wow, this kid is like super talented. In the back of my head, I was like, he's probably more talented than the rest of his band. Hold on. I'm going to let my dog out of the room. 1 second.
You're good.
Sorry, she was crying.
Aw.
But yeah, I mean, it was awesome getting to, be friends with a bunch of people that would go on to do awesome stuff. Like, I remember Haley was like 16 years old, and just getting to see, her and that band kind of like start out was just awesome. I think looking back on Warped Tour, I remember kind of like being an observer more than like us playing more than anything.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was grueling, and we never really got great set times. I remember kind of like every summer, even if you play on like one of the side stages, I think we played on like the Ernie Ball stage a lot. There are like a couple times where you'll actually get to play on the main stage. And I remember like one year we got to play on the main stage once, and we were like the first band of the day at like 10 a.m. So before anyone was in the venue.
Right.
But that's kind of like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Warped Tour is one of those things that definitely makes or breaks you on either side of the fence, I think. As an artist and a musician, it is it was at least a really grueling tour through the summer months that are notoriously hot and humid and sticky and gross, and you have to deal with all that. And then on top of that, you got to go out there and you know play the same set night over night. Maybe you get 20-25 minutes if you're lucky, so you're getting to really play 5 or 6 songs for people, and hoping that those 5 or 6 songs catch the attention of the people at Warped Tour. And then you've got on the other side of the barricade all the fans who are like you know dehydrated, sunburnt, exhausted, and like here you are you know like trying to play to them at like 7 o'clock at night, which you'd be like, oh, 7 o'clock is like a great set time. But in reality, everybody's just so tired. They're just like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. But I mean, like, it was a cool thing. And I'm glad that Warped Tour is back in even in the capacity in which it is.
Yeah. And what's interesting to me is, yeah, it was such a shit show. We would get on stage, it'd be so hot. There would be people there. Maybe 75% of them didn't know you, but like the energy cool. But like I remember just getting off the stage and being like, did that fucking matter? Like, did that
Right.
are we putting ourselves through all this for no reason because people are being inundated with a billion bands? But
Mm-hmm.
what I will say is 20, 25 years later, so many of the people who come to our shows were like, I remember that day changed my life, Warped Tour 2006. I remember your set vividly. And it's like, we did have an impact. Like, so
Yeah.
many people at Warped Tour were just like sponges, like absorbing so much. And I'm like, wow, that did matter. And like, what at the time I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, it really affected so many people's lives. And it's just, I remind myself of that whenever I feel like and this even goes beyond music. Whenever I feel like whatever I'm doing is not gonna impact anything, I have to remind myself, like, sometimes in life you don't realize how much of an impact you're having until years go by,
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, keep your head in the game, and like, I think I've learned, after talking to a bunch of people that like it wasn't all for naught,
Yeah, Warped Tour, I think, especially when you played them, like, people were invested in it, right? It was the day that you bought tickets back in like March for. Like, whenever the tickets went on sale, you still went out to your local record store and bought it, like a physical ticket, most of us. And there weren't like phones, right? Like, you were really just in it. It was the wild, wild west, right? Like, it was such a wild time to be a teenager going to these festivals. The fact that Tom and I went since we were like 14 years old to Randall's Island, right? Like, so we were going to the Warped Tour in Randall's
that
Island.
was the worst one.
Yeah, it was the worst.
Did you have handkerchiefs for the fucking Dust Bowl?
Yeah, you were literally like covered in dust, head
Black
to
boogers,
toe.
dude. Just black
black
boogers
boogers for weeks.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that our parents allowed us to do this, right? So like, we're these suburban kids getting on trains and transferring to Jamaica and getting on a bus and then like literally fighting to get on those buses to go home at 11 o'clock at night after being at Randall's Island for like 13 or 14 hours with no food. Like, it truly was the wildest times. But like 20, 25 years later, those are still some of my fondest memories going to see music with my friends.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, Randall's Island, what a shit show.
Yeah. Honestly, like, and if it rained, it was just mud city. Like I remember going to one where it rained, and that was worse than the dust, man. That was pretty rough. But I mean, Warped Tour is really, like you said, kind of it's a rite of passage. Kind of like for some other bands, Taste of Chaos was a rite of passage, or
Bamboozle.
Bamboozle, which I know you guys played. I played a couple of Bamboozles, if I'm not mistaken. Skate and Surfs, and I know you guys played a couple of those. So, did you ever consider you guys like more of a club band or a festival band? Like, what, like, in your eyes, at least?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, we're very at home in clubs, and we're very at home in dark clubs. We don't tour with our own LD. That's a lighting director. A lot of bands these days tour with an LD that does the lights. So like, whenever we play shows at like a random club, we talk to the guy who does lights there, and like, I always tell them, I'm like, please keep the lights low. Like, for us, it's always like moody and like, I don't know, maybe it's like an insecurity, but I'm like, nobody wants to see this shit. Just keep the lights low. Let us play our songs. So like, at a festival, like in broad daylight, like when the sun is blasting on us, I'm like, we are not in our element. Like, I feel like too exposed, and I get like, I just feel awkward up there. So I will, I always say this when we play festivals, that like, come see us at a club. That's really like, I think, the appropriate venue to see us. That being said, when we played When We Were Young, the couple times that we played it, and obviously Warped Tour and Bamboozle back in the day, those are some of the best shows we've ever played. But yeah, it's a little bit like playing it like an away field, like it's not like our home turf. But yeah, we still have a blast.
Now, I guess since you're talking about playing clubs, even more intimate than that, you guys recently, I guess a year or two ago, went on the Emo's Not Dead cruise. were those some of like your favorite, most intimate shows? Like, would you recommend elder emos like myself and Tom and Justin go on one of those cruises? Like, is that kind of the next thing in our scene?
Yeah, I was like skeptical at first. But so Matt Kutchall, who his brand is Emo's Not Dead, I think he does it super well, and he comes from the scene, and so he just has a massive respect for all these bands. Like it would be different if like the cruise was hosted by like, I mean, we play a lot of Live Nation venues, nothing against Live Nation, but if it was like Live Nation presents the emo cruise, but like this is a real dude who like played Warped Tour himself and has been friends with all these bands, so like he just has such a respect for these bands, and you know, it's a very cool experience to be a part of that, as opposed to like, all right, who's cashing in on all of us? You know, he pays all the bands. I can't imagine he's getting rich off this. So it's an amazing experience, and it's cool because obviously everyone is cooped up on a cruise for like 4 or 5 days. So everyone gets to know each other, you know, like the elevators that people have to take going up and down on the cruise are the same for the bands as the fans. We all eat in the same cafeteria. So it's almost like you pay for like a VIP experience to like hang out with all these bands too.
Right.
You know, I actually still keep in touch with a bunch of the like fans I met on the cruise when we played.
That's sick.
So it is actually a lot of fun, and like all the bands play at least like 4 or 5 times, and usually it's like 2 full sets, and then like I think we did 1 acoustic like storyteller set, and then 1 like album playthrough set. So you kind of get to do like a whole bunch of different experiences for the people, because who wants to see the same set 4 times, you know, in 4 days? So yeah, it's awesome. And if you enjoy alcohol, you will love the cruise, because you know what I mean? Everyone just wakes up and basically starts drinking all day. So if you like boats, you like emo, and you like alcohol, check out the cruise. It also like it sells out immediately every year when they announce it. So
Yeah.
I don't even know how to get tickets.
It's so funny. It just goes to prove that all those, you know, broke 15 and 16-year-olds that were going to these Warp Tours 20, 25 years ago now have like real jobs and like can drop,
Dude,
you know, $2,000 or $3,000 to go.
Yeah. And you know what? It's really fucking nice. Like, you wouldn't believe how many people come up to me and are like, I gotta be honest, every single album of yours I downloaded for free on LimeWire, and I haven't paid a penny for your music, but like I want to buy a t-shirt now that I'm at a show and now that I'm an adult and I have money. And like I shake their
Right.
hand. I'm like, yeah, I was downloading everything for free. Like, thank you for saying that. And like people don't realize that like at a show, like a t-shirt, like that money goes straight to us. There's no like label, there's no like management company, you know? So like it does mean a lot when people want to come to a show and support us and are like, yeah, I was broke when I was 16. My parents wouldn't let me buy merch, but like now I have a family and a real job, and like we all appreciate it. You know, every single band really appreciates that, because yeah, I know it's tough to get out of the house. Like I rarely go to shows to see my best friends in the world. I'm like, fuck, what time are you playing, dude? So like if someone is going to like get a babysitter and come out to a show of ours, like we all understand, you know, the effort that takes. And you know, it means a lot.
Sometimes they'll just bring the baby.
I say that to people. They're like, I had to get a babysitter. I'm like, bring the fucking baby. Like we'll get those like noise canceling headphones or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like now that you guys have like come back and are an active band again, does it like feel like now you can finally reap like the financial benefits of putting so many years into this band? Like, because a lot of bands don't stick it out, right? They'll just give up when they're like, yeah, we're not making the money, we're not like able to support our families. But now all of these years later, where these honestly like emo shows are bigger than they were even at the peak, right? A lot of these festivals are bigger than they were ever. Do you feel like it's kind of now you're reaping the rewards of sticking with it?
I don't really view it like that. I think if we're very smart with how we tour, and so we're able to come home with money. But I know plenty of bands that are not smart the way they tour and come home with no money. So yeah, I think we're definitely lucky that we get to like play shows and not lose money going on tour like we used to in the early 2000s. But like, it's not like we're getting rich, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's amazing. Honestly, like, I respect anyone who can make a profit in any kind of way, no matter what kind of job you have or whatever. So in that sense, to be able to make a penny doing this is like a blessing. So that's how I view it. But you know we don't make uh enough money to where we can be stupid, and we still have to like be really smart and be budget conscious, and you know yeah, but at the same time, like, yeah, super happy that we can do this. So yeah.
I think we started coining the term like touring when you're older is more like PTO with the boys
Mm-hmm.
than like anything else, or like, trying to like, make money on like these tours. It's more of like, just going out, having fun, playing music to people who want to come and like sing and scream along with all of your lyrics. It's like it's a different atmosphere when you get older.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying being in my almost 40s as still a fan of this emo music. I went recently to Four Chord Music Festival and seeing the amount of families that were at that festival was just like so like heartwarming, right? It's now become
Yeah.
more of a family atmosphere at some of these festivals, and I'm here for it. I really hope that these bands that we loved continue on forever and ever. And it's the new kind of classic rock, right? It's kind of getting to that
Yeah.
time frame.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, a few years ago, whenever I did podcast interviews, people were like, "So, what do you think about this nostalgia?" And like, I'm like, yeah, it's nostalgia, but to me, when people talk about this scene being nostalgia, that almost infers that like it's gonna go away at some point. But like, I've always said, like, it is nostalgia, but like, people that liked this scene of music, they're not gonna stop liking it in 5 years. Like, this is just all what we grew up with. This is, like in our blood. So yeah, it's kind of nostalgia, and I guess you could say that, but like, I don't think it's going away. Like, you can't take away the fact that like Saves the Day changed my life when I was 16. Like, no other scene of music will replace how important this scene of music was for me. And I know the same is true for millions of other people. So, you know, people might get sick of this band or that band or whatever, but like, people are not going to stop supporting this scene of music and like what it meant to all of us growing up.
Mm-hmm. And I think the fact that there's still now young kids that are now starting bands that sound like bands from the early 2000s, and it's just going to keep going and on and on and on. And like,
Yeah,
Justin has a teenage daughter who's now into this music, and it does seem like it's going to be here forever. It doesn't seem like it's just a
totally.
phase or it's going to go away ever.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think more and more artists are starting to flock back into this because there is like a level of lucrativity in this that there wasn't 20 years ago, which is a good thing. And I think a lot of that has to do with people easing up on the gatekeeping a little bit and not trying to hold their favorite bands in their back pocket. Because I get that people want something like that is like intrinsic to them, that is in their soul and that's theirs. But I think the reality is with anything that you love, you want to share it with people that you care about because you want them to hopefully have the same level of elation that you have when you're experiencing it, number one. And number two, you want the people that you care about to pass it along to people that they care about. And I think that is kind of like the organic stream of this kind of music is, you got one person tells somebody else who tells somebody else who tells somebody else, and it snowballs from there. However, nowadays you've got all of these streaming services that with the click of a button, you can go to discographies or related artists and, things that are so much easier than when Mikey and I were coming up. And, we just had pure volume and, you know, compilation CDs, and like that's really it, So have you found that like now that you're an active band in the streaming age, are you finding that it's easier to reach people, or are you not really seeing a difference?
So man, we live in a world of algorithms right now, whether it's
Mhm.
Spotify, social media. There are a lot of people who really want to game the algorithms and everything. And I think at a certain point, our attitude is like throwing our hands up in the air at algorithms and just, you know, knowing that like we have our fan base and that's one thing. And we want to, honor the legacy of the band. And then the other half of that is like, I still have a lot to say creatively. And, I can't I can't in my head start to try and game algorithms and also be creative. So I'm just like, I'm going to do what I fucking think is creative. And like, I don't care if it gets lost in the algorithms or whatever. That's not why I started doing this band. And, I just want to trust my instincts and do that. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people, to answer your question, really dig into those algorithms and like playlisting and, you know, I just think for us, we're almost like we are what we are, and like we're just gonna try and do our best without getting lost in this algorithmic world, and honestly, it changes all the time. Like if
Mhm.
Instagram is like, hey, we're going to prioritize whatever new thing they're trying to push. That changes the algorithm plan that like every band has had for the past year and their posting schedule. Or if Spotify changes streaming things, like it could mess people up. So that's why I'm like, I just want to do what we do, and you know, for better or for worse, that's what we do.
And I think that's like a good segue to chat about the new album that just came out back in November. There
Thanks,
is no
man.
memory.
Thanks, dude.
Um, yeah, man. We've been listening to it, since it came out, and we always like to ask this question because we're really big in talking about producers. But what was it like working with Sam Guyana on this one? Because I know that you did a lot of writing the instrumentals, and composing most of the album. But how was it working with someone like Sam, who has put out so many amazing records over the last 5 to 10 years at this point?
Sam is a beast, and it was amazing to work with him. And he he's just, his level of focus in the studio is insane. Like we had to like put a bottle of water on his desk, because he would work for 12 hours straight just staring at the computer, would not get up, would not break to eat. um he's just kind of like built differently. And it was an awesome process working with him. I came in fully prepared, like all the songs were completely done. And I think it really gave Sam the opportunity to be the best producer possible, because a lot of times, if you wait till you get to the studio to like finish a bridge here, or like, oh, I don't have the second verse figured out, you waste a lot of time just finishing up in the songwriting process. And I feel like that hampers a lot of what a talented producer can do. So for this album, I really wanted to be insanely prepared. And yeah, I think that just let Sam really do his thing. And I think he elevated the songs, which meant a lot to me already, to like, an even cooler place. And yeah, I had the best experience. Actually, so this album conceptually was going to be a 5-song EP called There Is No Memory, just about um memories and this stuff. And we recorded 5 songs with Sam, and then we were leaving for a summer tour with Hawthorne Heights and Amberlin and all these bands. And I spent the summer saying, fuck, like I don't want it just to be an EP. Like the songs came out so well, and my rhythm with Sam was so good that I called Sam and I was like, hey, if I finish up another 6 songs, can we come back after the summer and make this a full length. So that's
Wow.
actually how the album came to be. It was
That's
it was
awesome.
just supposed to be an EP, but like, and again, talking about algorithms and everything, I think the general thinking is like, oh, if you just put out EPs or like a small batch of songs, that makes the algorithm happy. And I was like, okay, cool, that's what we'll do. But like in my head, I'm such like a full album guy. Like full albums to me have so much more power than EPs. Again, even though that's like against the current algorithms, I guess. But I was like, fuck it, I don't care. Like I want this to be a full length. And thankfully Sam's schedule was clear at the end of the summer and Equal Vision were on
Nice.
board. Yeah.
I know Tom will speak to this at nauseum about, albums are supposed to be, full length, supposed to be released, supposed to be, listened to like front to back. And I think you nailed it in the head with this like algorithmic waterfall that people want, like just singles here and there just to see what takes
Exactly.
off. It almost like hinders the artistic experience and the storytelling of what music really kind of like falls behind.
Yeah, and maybe that system works for artists these days, but like I feel like we have been an album band for so long that it would just be weird if we were like, how's this single? Is this
Here's
popping
singles.
off? Is this is this going viral? Like that would just work against everything we've built. And honestly, that's just not who I am. And like that's not ever who I wanted Armour for Sleep to be. So that would just be weird, So yeah, I knew that wasn't for us.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough thing to reconcile because like you are, you want your music to reach as many people as you can. So the left hand wants to play the game a little bit and say, okay, we'll do this. We'll do some of the short form content and, this stuff that, the today's generation seems to kind of put their talents into. But, do you find that on your two newest records that it's been predominantly people in like our age range that have been identifying with it the most, or has the younger generation, of kids 10, 15 years younger, have they been resonating with it as well? Have you found?
To be honest, I don't really do a post-mortem of like who is this resonating with. I feel like that would mess me up a little bit.
Okay.
But I know, our past two albums um definitely deal with like kind of like more adult emotional themes than like, for instance, when I was younger. Like a lot of Dream to Make Believe is like I have a crush on this person and they don't like me back. Like that's to me like a more like immature emotional state. Like I went through a divorce in 2020. Like that's kind of like the most adult terrible thing you could go through. And so yeah, when I talk to a lot of people that listened to us when they were 16 and now are still listening to the new music, I have heard a lot of people who either went through a divorce or like a major breakup in their lives, and like they can relate to this now because they're an adult now too. That being said, there also are like we have like amazing young like 16-year-old fans that are just coming to the table that love the new music too, and I'm like, there's no way you understand such crazy
Right.
heartbreak, but
Yeah.
maybe they can relate. Like who am I to say? So yeah, it's a funny mix. But like I said, I just, I kind of threw my hands up in the air with algorithms, and I'm like, I will get lost if I try and chase anything other than doing what I feel in my heart and writing songs that I know I need to get off my chest. So that's my North Star. Like, and if nobody relates to it, cool. At least I got it out into the world, because there's a part of me that just wants it to be out there. And if tons of people relate, then that's cool too. But like, I kind of just, my safe space is just putting it out in the world and like not looking back, and like whatever happens after that is, good either way, because I know I did something that I'm proud of. As trite as that sounds, it's true.
And you get to do that, right? Like as a veteran to the scene, like you have that freedom to not really give a shit about like the algorithm, right? Like there's all these young bands that are truly trying to even just make a name for themselves. So they have to worry so much about like posting consistently. And like a lot of times when we talk to these younger up and coming bands, like that is what our advice is like, yeah, post all the time. Vertical videos are
Sure.
king. Like that's what is going to get you there. But like you're in this place where like you already have made a name for yourself in our scene. You have people that have been fans for literally 25 years. And like, yeah, we're not maybe as active in the scene as we were. So like it might take us longer to check out a new album, right? So like, yeah, you got this album that came out in November, but there still might be a lot of your fan base who just like haven't even gotten a chance to listen to it yet. And that's fine. Like, and eventually
exactly.
they will.
And yes, exactly. And that right there is the exact attitude I have now when doing new music. I know exactly like you said, we have a lot of fans who aren't online all the time, who might not know that we have new music, but maybe in 3 years they'll listen to this. And maybe in 5 years they'll be like, oh, I didn't know Armour for Sleep had an album that came out in 2025, but now I'm going through a breakup. And like, so me putting out music into the world, like there is a part of me that obviously has to do the thing up. Let's put on Instagram our music video, like a chorus and like a lyric video thing. But I think 99% of me wants it to be out in the world. So eventually people who are fans of Armour can find it in some way. So like, yeah, that's, I think about that all the time.
Yeah. And the nice thing is, you know, we're talking about how a lot of bands who called it quits 10, 15 years ago are starting to realize that as well, right? And I think back to a specific tour that you were on in 2006 that I caught when I was in college. It was you guys, Matchbook Romance, and Gatsby's American Dream. Guess what?
Hell yeah.
All three of you are active again. Like Matchbook Romance literally just last week announced new music.
That. Yeah, and I just I know Bobby doesn't play with Gatsby's now, but I just hung out with Bobby Darling, who was like the songwriter for Gatsby's. Love him. We're actually gonna
super talented guy.
Yeah, he's super into this game that he wants me to download and play. So I'm training myself, and then I'm gonna squad up with him. But
that's awesome.
What game?
But yeah,
is
I remember
it?
that tour. It's called Arc Raiders. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, it's pretty popular in like the PvP kind of like world right now. A lot of people have been hopping on and playing it. So yeah, it'll be a fun one to actually like just hop on and just play with a couple friends.
Yeah. I told him, I was like, all right, I'm gonna download this fucking game and play with you, but like give me a week to like learn the gameplay first, because I don't want to like jump into a squad with him and cause everyone to just get murdered. So I gotta spend some time with it. But yeah, I love Bobby. He's a great dude, and I love Gatsby's and Matchbook. Were also great guys back in the day too.
Wasn't there another? Was Copeland on that tour too? Like it's starting to get like hard to.
Copeland was with the starting line.
Okay, but I definitely remember there was definitely one other band. So it was Armour, Matchbook, Gatsby's, and like one other, and I just can't. Maybe Love Drug, maybe.
You could be correct with Love Drug. I think it was Love Drug.
Love Drug were a wild band, man. They're pretty wild.
They were great.
Singer had this like high pitched voice. It was like all like.
What was their best song? Like, it was called they had that one song that was their biggest song. So good. Yeah,
they're good. They're really good. Yeah. So many bands like that, that we alluded to, that probably had to call it quits after a couple of records, and because there are so many bands out there that, like, how do you get a leg ahead? Like, it's like almost impossible.
Yeah, it was around like 2008, 2009. The scene was getting it was just, man, like Fall Out Boy, My Chem were blowing up in the mainstream, and major labels were trying to poach every artist. It started to feel like gross for a lot of people in bands. I know that's when we like broke up for a while, because like it became like hot topicified. You know what I mean? Like that's when it was like the neon emo scene, and like it just seemed like a joke to all of us. And I think a lot of fans at that time, maybe graduated high school and like went to college and were like, ugh, that was like an embarrassing phase in high school, and like it was
Right.
shunned for a while. And I don't think it was till like 2015 that it started coming back. And
Mhm.
I will give credit to, I think I don't know if you guys know like emo night or like that whole
Yeah.
phenomenon, but these guys TJ and Morgan started doing emo night in LA. And my friend, that was right when I moved to LA. My friend was like, "Have you heard about this emo night thing?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, two guys just on stage with a laptop are just playing like emo songs, and like thousands of people were coming. So like I went, and I had a lot of friends in bands who like hated it. They were like, "That's such fucking bullshit. Like, why aren't we getting paid for this?" But I was like, "No, this is amazing." And like, I think, whether or not that kicked off this like revived sense of nostalgia, or more probably what was happening is like that was just ruminating in the ether, that people were like wanting to get back to the scene. But it definitely, those two things happened at the same time. So like I credit like the emo night thing popping off for people saying like, hey, this is a good time for this music to actually come back. Like, we don't have to be embarrassed by it anymore. There was nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
I think we got to give credit to the I hate giving credit to the fucking pandemic, but TikTok
Yeah.
specifically during the pandemic with like it was never a phase, and people doing like it was never a phase
Yeah.
trend, and it would put different songs over the videos and sing along to them. Like that really kind of like was the major catalyst to people almost, scratching at the bits to go catch a concert. And I think that's where we saw
Yeah.
like the, emo night start, branching out and start adding bands to play sets to some of their DJ sets that we're doing. And then we saw like when we were young and all these larger festivals really start popping off when it was safe to start, going back to concerts.
Absolutely. Yeah. That first When We Were Young was like, I know it was like a couple years after COVID, but it was one of the first big festival things to announce after COVID. And there was such an energy just to go back to shows in general. And yeah, and I think that in combination with the fact that people were missing emo, I think just all kind of was definitely like a moment in time. That first When We Were Young was special. And then Paramore coming back for the first time,
Yeah.
and My Chem coming back for the first time. There was a lot of craziness around that first year.
And then just
we're
Paramore
here for
getting
it.
picked up on the Eras tour.
That was crazy.
Like seeing Paramore just hopping on with Taylor Swift in Europe was just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Or like the Taylor Swift dropping like the starting line in a song.
Yeah.
And you're just like, are we cool again?
Yeah. That's awesome. I know. I was so stoked for the starting line. When that happened, I was like DMing them. I was like, this is fucking sick. And then I think I was like, you guys better do a t-shirt of this. And I think immediately that day they like dropped a t-shirt design.
Gotta capitalize on that shit when you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they're
You really
back
just
now
gotta,
too.
like, I
and
mean,
they
like-
literally all look like dads. It's like the coolest thing ever. They're literally like playing
Mhm.
dad rock, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
We gotta just get you to, like, I don't know, maybe we can get you guys to open up for Springsteen or something.
I would.
Just put it out in the ether. Just sing Thunder Road with him, just back to back. It'd be so sick. It'd be the sickest thing ever.
Now I'm just curious because I'm reading Sellout right now, and obviously they talk about Jersey a lot, and I'm curious, as you were in those formative years, did you get to go to any of those shows at like the Thursday House or at the VFWs that like Midtown and Gabe were putting on? Like, were you a part of that?
Yes. I have a story of all of those bands you just mentioned at once. I went to the in 1999, New Year's Eve 99, Saves the Day had their vinyl release party for Can't Slow Down, which was already a massive album to me. Gabe's brother Ricky drove me to the show, which was at Jeff from Thursday's basement. So I was there with Gabe. I thought Saves the Day were the biggest band at the time. Thinking back on it, there were probably 50 people at this basement show. So watch Saves the Day play. And then Jeff came downstairs and said, hey, I'm Jeff. I put on the show in my basement. I have a new band called Thursday, but I'm going to play a couple acoustic songs. I think that was Thursday's first show ever. So yeah, I mean, yes, I was at all those shows. I have far too many stories about that era. But yeah, I was a super fan. I mean, I was at every Saves the Day show, front row, screaming in Chris's face. That's how he remembers me, as little Ben, who was just, their biggest fan. And same thing with Thursday. I used to give Jeff like poetry books, and yeah, I was just a kid from the scene who was just obsessed with this music and wanted to be involved really bad.
I love.
Let's be real, like 50 kids jam-packed in a basement probably did feel like 300.
Yes. Yeah, it did. Yeah, I know. I saw pictures of that show after the fact, and I was like, whoa. In my head, I was at like a stadium rock show watching Saves the Day. I didn't realize that the numbers were way smaller than I experienced it. But yeah.
Yeah, it makes me wonder because, we did talk about the downtown. Like a lot of these bands that we talked about, I watched play at the downtown. Like the fact that My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy played there as well. In my mind, I'm like, wait, that was like only had to be 300 people. And like,
Yeah.
which is crazy to think.
Yes. Yeah, it is crazy. But it happened.
Still going on from day to day, in basement shows and just living room shows. Those are like the most special kind of shows. And we were talking with somebody who went to what All American Rejects when they were doing like the backyard shows, and just seeing how many people were just lined up around the neighborhood just to catch them play just a song or a snippet of a song was wild.
If you want to hear a cool Saves the Day story, when they were crowdfunding their I want to say their self-titled album, they had this option where for $5,000 they would come to anywhere in the continental US, and they'd play a show for like a private show. So we got the people to all chip in $100, paid them the fee, set it up. My buddy had this spot that he called the Wood Shop for a couple of years. It was literally his dad owned a wood shop, and he had this big space in the back of it that was vacant and unoccupied. So he built a little stage and had bands play there. So we had Saves the Day play there, and they played probably like 35 songs. They played for like,
God, that's fucking awesome.
That's sick.
They played for like 3 hours.
Holy shit.
They did like their touring set, which was like 12 songs. Then they took a little bit of a break. Then Chris came back with an acoustic, took a request from the audience, did like 10 acoustic songs. Then they came back all electric and did like 10 requests. It was so cool.
Wow.
It was Chris. It was like Chris, Rodrigo, Arun, and I think Dennis was the drummer at the time.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was like the current iteration of the band, but it was great. And then like after the show ended at like 1:00 in the morning, and like the whole band just like stayed there with us, like smoking weed, drinking. Like Chris's manager had to literally like pull him back onto the bus, like at like 3:00 in the morning, or their van or whatever they had.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that would be cool. That's something you guys should do. You guys should just like throw up like a Patreon and just be like, hey, if you guys pay us like 10 grand, we'll like go wherever you want and just play a show for you.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I would do that.
You got a deep enough catalog that you could do it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
5 records, man. That's pretty impressive. 5 records.
Mm-hmm.
And an EP also, right?
And an EP, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's a good body of work. Do you like, like when you finished this last record, did you like kind of like sit back and just like ever just taking a look at like the enormity of your work and just been like, wow, like that's pretty impressive?
Not really.
No, huh? Okay.
I mean, I mean it. Oh man, I look at stuff like that and I'm like, oh wow, 5 records, what a big deal. I could pat myself on the back. And then I look at bands like Thrice, who just did like their 12th full length, and I'm like, well, I'm a piece of shit. They
re-recorded one of their older full lengths.
Yeah.
In the current iteration, which is wild to me, and it sounds almost better.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess it's like everything like that is like, well, I guess it depends who you're comparing it to. But I mean, I'm certainly proud of everything we've done, and kind of like the eras we've been through, and so yes, I'm proud looking back on it. Whenever we finish an album that I'm proud of, I'm proud and also frightened, but it's a good frightened, and I'm just frightened because I'm so proud of this thing that every time we finish an album, I'm like, fuck, I'm not ever gonna be able to do another one. Like I think that's my best, and then like I'm done. But I know that's a really good feeling to have because I've always been able to go and write more and do another one that I'm really happy about. But it takes a minute for me, like stepping away.
Well, speaking of stepping away, like, you did step away for a few years, right? Like, I'm sure a lot of people thought that like
Yep.
Armour was truly done forever. But now that you have brought it back and you've done these tours and you've done these festivals, can you see yourself stepping away again? Or you're like now realizing, you know what, why did I leave this part of me behind? Like, it is a huge part of my identity and like a lot of people's identities as well. Like, can you see
Mhm.
yourself taking a break ever again from it?
No, I can't. And I think it was a mistake when I did step away from it for so long, just because it is such a big part of who I am. And I think there was a period of time where I almost thought like it was just a phase for me, like being a musician and like this Armor for Sleep thing, and like I was trying to you know, think of that as a part of my life that like I would grow out of or something. And I think that was a mistake. I think this has always made me really happy, and it's made me connect with a side of myself that actually really fulfills me as a human being. And when I came back to it, I realized that, and I realized that I never want to be apart from it again or try and like, you know, lock it in a box and like store it in a closet. I wasn't happy when I did that. And so, to the best of my ability, I want to just keep being creative. And another thing is that like I never had to contort myself to write Armor for Sleep songs. It was always just like what came out naturally. So like to continue writing Armor for Sleep songs, it's not like I'm like, man, I got to go back to like this person I was when I was 16. I don't know. Maybe if it was a black metal band and I really had to like, change styles to do it, it would be tough to do as I got older. But like that's literally just what comes out. That's why I've
Right.
never been able to like people are like, oh, have you ever tried like sitting with like a pop star and like writing a song with them? And like whenever I have tried to do that, it's a fucking Armor for Sleep song. So like that's
Right.
just like
It's an
what comes
extension
out
of you.
naturally. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like I just always want to do it forever. And I don't know. I think something about COVID and around that time, I think maybe a lot of us were thinking about like mortality a little bit more. And I just had a realization like you know, I'm not going to be around forever. Like I will like die someday, and like I just want to be creative until that day comes, and I would rather put out interesting stuff that could make other people's lives maybe more interesting, maybe give them something to distract themselves or speak to them emotionally. Like if I can just put more out into the world when I'm here, I think in a way, not saying that's my purpose in life, but like that would be a cool way to spend my life here. So yeah, I never want to stop being creative again, I guess.
Good. That's great. And you should never stop. You should just keep going
Thanks, man.
until the well is run dry.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. Well, I'll ask you one last question, and then we can kind of start wrapping up. Just because we've got places to be, people to see, all that fun stuff. So, what I would love to know is on the new record, of all of the songs that are on there, do you have a favorite one to play? Like as far as like, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to play them all
Hmm.
live. Is there one that sticks out to you that you, you haven't gotten to play that you'd love to play, or one that you already have played that you're like, oh my god, this is such a fun song?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, on our last tour that we did with Census Fail and Story of the Year, which is definitely like their fans are more of like heavier fans. Like
Right.
we've toured with bands, like we opened up for Dashboard Confessional, so like we tour with bands that are heavier and lighter, and so Story of the Year and Census Fail are definitely heavier fans, which was a great opportunity for us to play the first song on our new record, which is called The Outer Ring, which is like, a heavier song for us. So that's just fucking fun to play like a big, loud, heavy rock song. So definitely looking forward to keep playing that. One song that we haven't gotten to play is the last song on the record, which is probably my favorite song, which is called All the Best. I was super stoked. Definitely like stoked from a musician standpoint, because I think the first like 2 minutes of the song are just me and a clean electric guitar singing, and then it builds to this big crescendo. So I would love if we get the opportunity to do like a headlining tour on this album to like play that song, just because that's one of those songs that I wrote it and always in the back of my head, I imagine being on stage and, singing it with people who also can relate to it and singing it too. And so if I get to experience that moment, that's going to be really special for me. So that's something that I get to look forward to.
Nice.
Now, speaking of like playing these songs live, I know you're heading over to Australia. Is that all that you have announced at this point? Or are you going to be doing anything in the States?
So yeah, we're definitely going to be on tour, I would say, in the spring and summer. Nothing confirmed that I can say yet, but we'll definitely be back this summertime here.
Amen. That's beautiful. I wish that the 20th anniversary tour came to Charlotte, but it seems like Charlotte gets skipped a lot, and there a lot of tours are going to Greensboro instead.
Oh yeah, Greensboro is a cool little place. Yeah, we got to come back to Charlotte. What are the venues in Charlotte again?
Amos?
So they have the Live Nation ones. They have the Fillmores and the Undergrounds. Not my favorite place to catch shows. There's this place in Noda. It's called the Neighborhood Theater, and it's independently run, and such a cool spot. Like, it's an old historic theater, and they took the seats out, so it's like naturally on an incline. And
nice. I love those places.
It's a really cool place. The parking's just crappy. I think maybe that's why a lot of tours skip it. But if you're trying to get maybe into a more, independent kind of spot, worth looking into. About the same size too.
Cool.
Oh yeah, man. Awesome. Well, Ben, thank you so much for giving us the time. We're super stoked on the new record. We're really excited, on the plans that you guys have for the future upcoming. Hopefully you'll be around to some of our cities so we can catch you. And like I said, it's been such a great opportunity for us to get to interview you. We've been big fans forever. And if someone would listen to a podcast that was 4 hours, I would dive into the minutia of every single song on What to Do When You're Dead, and we'd wax about that. But for the sake of our listeners, we'll just we'll give you some of that
next time. We could do that.
That
four-part.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, for Mikey, for Justo, it's been Bar Down Breakdown. We thank you so much. We'll catch you on the other side.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. This is a great interview. Thanks for having me.
You bet, man. Take care.
All right, have a good one.